many more times would she stand before the others and lie? How long before they realized what she was about and executed her? One of her skills was the ability to deceive others convincingly. She did it with little effort, actually. It came naturally. Then again, she'd never had so much on the line before. She worried that she would try too hard, and others would start to see through her lies, and she'd be caught. The constant worry was exhausting. It was bad enough that she had the others watching her. Now, because she just had to go and do the right thing, she was about to have the Dragon Kings on her ass, too. Because no matter the steps she'd taken to be anonymous, they were smart enough, and powerful enough, to figure out who she was. That was fine. She was prepared for that. She just wanted to make sure that she was long gone from this realm when it happened. All she had to do was get one king to listen to her, and believe what she was saying. Then they could take it from there, and she could hightail it to safety somewhere else. At least that was the plan. A part of her thought about sticking around and fighting with the kings against the others, but she didn't particularly like the sight of blood or death. Strange for sure for a Dark Fae, but everyone had their quirks. Noreen's mind went through options of what might happen with her email. She hoped the words she'd used would alert the kings that it wasn't a hoax. Surely they would take such information seriously. How long should she give them before she sent another message? The only option she'd left them was to reply to her, but they didn't have to do that to believe her. For all she knew, they could have already read it, taken her words to heart, and were in the process of getting things ready for a war. She rolled her eyes at her hopefulness. That wasn't going to happen, and she knew it. But it would be nice if it did. It would solve all her problems. Well, not all of them, but a majority of them. Yet she wouldn't be able to leave until she knew for certain the kings had listened to her. Shite, she mumbled. That meant she would have to check the new email account she'd set up in case the kings contacted her. More than likely she'd have to send several more messages, all the while keeping her actions secret from the others. Maybe it would have been better to take her chances by just going straight to Dragon and knocking on the door. She nearly laughed out loud at the thought. She, like all Fae, knew of the barrier around the 60,000 acres owned by the Dragon Kings. The moment she stepped through it, they would know of her arrival and be on her in seconds. It was one way to get their attention, but with the way things were going, the Dragon Kings were more the strike now and ask questions later kind of guys, and that didn't really work for her. She rubbed her thumb over the pads of her fingers as she itched to use magic to make a laptop appear, so she didn't have to visit another internet cafe, but it was a chance she couldn't take at the moment. "Things are really going to shite when you try to do the right thing," she said, as she walked into the abandoned house that she'd come across. But was this the right thing? For so long she'd believed the others were in the right. Noreen wasn't sure when she'd changed her mind. It wasn't one thing she could pinpoint, but she suspected several instances had happened over the thousands of years. And now here she was, her loyalties changing sides. She'd debated on this course of action for the past 50 years, but it was the most recent turn of events that had finally swayed her. For one, she had really liked Balladine. She hadn't wanted to. She had actively hated him at first. Then she'd seen what he'd done for the Dark when he became king. He wasn't just after power. He wanted to unify the Dark and make them great again. Then Usail had killed him. Noreen fisted her hand as she recalled seeing the Queen of the Light sink her sword into Balladine's back and take his life. And she hadn't been the only Dark outraged by the murder. Then the infamous Ree had killed Usail, or so they'd thought. Leave it to a power-hungry bitch like Usail to ensure that she couldn't die, but that was something few knew about. It would be a cold day in hell before Noreen bowed before Usail and accepted her as queen. It didn't matter if Usail was really Dark or not. She had crossed too many lines, even for a Dark. It was an oxymoron, Noreen knew. The Dark were the epitome of wicked to the light, but the truth was, there were varying degrees of evil.